you're in a very heated basketball game, right? And you're working with your team. Now you've got a team eye. And it comes time for you to either shoot the ball or pass the ball. You don't do that with an eye. Or you're writing poetry, or you're painting, maybe even coding, I don't know. You don't need the eye. So that's the first taste. Peak performance almost invariably involves getting rid of the eye. Where have you been?
So I feel like I have been in a place that is very peaceful, but there are like winds of excitement and boredom all around. Like I get caught up in that, then I come back to be more peaceful, and then I can get caught up, and then I can come back to the peaceful place kind of thing. So that has been going on.
Birth and death. Okay, good. As a technical term, sometimes they'll refer to the arising of clarity as birth, and the losing of clarity as death. Now you can't. There's no way you could be clear and excited at the same time until it's much more advanced. And even then, it's tricky because you're not really excited, although your body and mind may be excited. You're not. So, but that's good. So you're observing that. That's good. Questions?
So I have been doing the practice of turning the light around and also focusing on the sense of I. Uh, what I have noticed is that the I thing is getting more and more subtle. So I think I was mistaken earlier what I thought was I. So now
Speak about it.
it feels
Tell us about it.
yeah. So now when I focus on the I thing, it's a very it's like a very subtle and vague kind of thing. It's like, let's say if I want to focus my attention on something like 1 feet away. So the how vague and subtle that kind of thing feeling is the same thing that comes with I. So it just feels like that when I focus on something, that it exists, and otherwise it doesn't. And maybe that applies to the I too.
And how was it before?
So before it was more gross, like because it was kind of convoluted with all the sensations, all like everything was it felt more like a lump, and now it's more refined and because I can separate out the sensation and all those things from the underlying thing.
Okay, so let me see if I understood you. Focus on something about 1 foot away. I'll do the same. Now expand your awareness from that one thing and start taking in more of the periphery, everything, things around it. Now bring it back down to the one thing. Okay.
Hmm.
Now tell me about that.
So I think it was the same subtle that thing which expanded and contracted with attention.
Okay, so just drop the I. Just drop the I. You're set. See, because you're telling me about what you're doing and what you're concentrating on, what you're focusing on, you're setting up a duality, number one. And number two, you're missing half or more than half the show. So just drop the I. You don't need it.
But still there is something that is taking action. So like when you
Is there?
focus on
Where is that action? Who's directing that action?
so like when you said focus on 1 feet away,
Mm-hmm.
I focused my attention on 1 feet away. So an action happened based on a directive.
Who directed it?
So like when you said to do it,
So
I
I
did it.
directed it.
Yeah.
Who directed me? Since I'm not here.
So based on the conversation we had, then you had an impulse to let's just do that.
No, I'm not here. I didn't have that impulse. An impulse appeared, let's say. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because I'm here talking to you, it does not mean I'm here. Okay. Next question. Just drop the I. No problem.
So the entity or whatever that thing is that listens and takes action, if it's not an I, if not the I, then what it is.
That's what is it? That's exactly what you need to find out. And this particular sutra will help you.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to get into it some more. See, because your mind is too constrained. It's been conditioned and constrained and trained and punished and rewarded and carrots and sticks and all kind influenced and all this other stuff. So it can't wrap its head around the either the smallness or the largeness of reality. Speaking, very, very loosely. So you need to train your brain to be big enough to take in the possibilities here. Not just the possibilities, the reality.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need the I there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're dividing the world. See, you are dividing the world like your language into subject and object. Correct?
Yeah.
And you're trying to make it more and more subtle, but it's still subject-object.
Yeah.
As a first step, just get rid of the subject. But again, the sutra will be very important for you.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'd say that, for you, now I'm speaking to you specifically. All right, sir?
Mm-hmm. Got it.
The I thought is another thought.
Yeah, that's how it feels. That if the feeling of I is the same as just 1 feet away or like anything or an empty space, then I maybe just thought, just a feeling rather than an actual entity.
Have you ever dropped the I?
But how can I drop the I? Like intellectually
All right.
telling myself.
Let me give you an example.
The I.
You're at the Olympics. You're a champion gymnastics snowboarder. You're going to go down this. Could you raise your head up just a bit?
Mm-hmm.
A bit more. And you're going for the gold. Now you come barreling down that that ramp, and now you have to go up in the air, and you have to do 2 or 3 flips and a few twists and a few other spread your skis or whatever, or your snowboard, flip it up, or you got to do a lot of stuff before you hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
He's not doing that with any I, and I would make it impossible for him to do that. Or you're in a very heated basketball game, right? And you're working with your team. Now you've got a team I.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes time for you to either shoot the ball or pass the ball. You don't do that with an I.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're writing poetry. Or you're painting. Maybe even coding, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need the I. So that's the first taste. Peak performance almost invariably involves getting rid of the I.
So I have seen that many times, and I used to call that as a flow state. Where
Very good.
Things are.
Wu Wei, that's a Taoist. They call it flow state now. 40 years ago, they called it Wu Wei. which I think in Chinese means something along the lines of something Taoist. I mean, it's completely a Taoist concept. And they say live your life like that, the Taoists. And incidentally, we'd have the Tao Te Ching written, a study series of videos on the Tao Te Ching as translated by Thomas Clary for people who don't know about it elsewhere on the channel. Unfortunately, I don't seem to have it handy, or I would show it. It's a Tao Te Ching. It's called the Essential Tao. I don't have it around here. But yeah, that's Taoism 101. And remember, Buddhism, when Buddhism hit China, the Taoism and the Buddhism became one thing. It advanced both of them.
But in that way, it seems that I'm just operating on instinct without much thinking.
What's wrong with that? You ever seen a cougar chase a gazelle, or a gazelle run from a leopard? Mm-hmm. How much eye do they need? How much eye do they need, or do they use?
Yeah, they don't use. They're just operating on instinct.
Yeah. So what? So the way you're using the word instinct. So what's wrong with you doing that?
But isn't instinct just like learned, conditioned responses?
Yeah, they're conditioned. No, they're not conditioned. That's the whole point.
So like when I learned to shoot a hoop into the basket, that's something I learned, and
that's something you learned. Once it's learned, now you can just use your instincts. Once you've learned it, once you know it. And the same thing's true with this sutra. You need to know it. And I know parts of it are difficult. Other parts are easy. Have you noticed that? Some parts are difficult to get through. Other parts are simply. That's why you just set a 15, 20 minute a day in the morning to read the sutra. And you just do that every day. And just do it for 4 or 5 months. 4 months at 20 minutes. And it will take care of that. But now we're just parsing words. I mean, what's the question? Should a master basketball player use his instincts? I would say, yeah.
I think, my question was mainly about how to drop the eye. And it seems that if I am operating...
You have something more important to do. Like read scripture, or win the NBA finals, or get the gold at the Olympics, or save somebody's life in the operating room, or paint the greatest painting you've ever painted. You have something bigger to do. In this case, my understanding is you want to get woken up. It's not for the lazy. And it's not for the educated either, per se. The 6th Grandmaster of Zen, I mean, that guy was amazing. He was illiterate. He didn't read a word. Now, he heard the sutras, but he didn't read them. All right?
Got it. I have a question on on the other meditation I do, which is focusing on the breath passing through the nostril. And with that, after doing maybe for 5-10 minutes, suddenly I'm in a state where I don't remember what happened, and then alarm rings and I remember, okay, I was doing that.
Oh yeah.
So that period of forgetfulness, where when I don't remember what happened, is that also dropping the eye, kind of thing?
So you're talking about, I don't know whether you're referring to it during, after? Are you talking about afterwards or during?
During that meditation, which the like during that period of meditation that I don't remember.
What happened? Nothing happened.
I was Yeah, I was focusing on the breath, and then I don't remember.
Right. Did anything happen?
No, I was just sitting, so
So what's
nothing
there to
really
remember?
happened.
There's nothing to remember. Are you worried about it? Or are you happy about it? Or are you just curious?
Just curious
You
that
only
is that
remember things that
also.
happen. If nothing happens, you don't remember it. Just think about it.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're old enough, but there will be swatches of your life that you don't remember. Well, yeah, you are old enough because you know parts of childhood, for example. There's nothing there if you're trying to remember it.
But that's like after such a long period of time that I can understand. It makes sense.
Okay, you can look at it that way.
But after immediately doing it and not, it's like the deep sleep thing,
Do
like
you remember what
sleep thing when I
happened
go to
three
sleep
days ago
3 days ago.
without referring to a
Uh,
mental calendar? What you had for lunch, or
not
unless you have the same lunch every day?
not immediately, but if I think about it, then I can remember, like through
Maybe.
the calendar as
Maybe you can. Maybe it's in your preconscious. So again, going back to Freud,
well. Mhm.
he divided the mind into the conscious mind, the preconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. People don't talk much about the preconscious mind anymore, but the things that you could remember if you really, really tried, those would go into the preconscious. And just to review one more time, the ego, which means I in German, is what Freud called the I. The superego is above the ego, and it's what Freud called the conscience, or he called the conscience the superego, that which tells the ego what it should be doing. And the id, or the it, is like the devil. The devil made me do it. The it refers to the animal impulses: aggressive, sexual, territorial, impulsive. And so the name of the game in psychoanalysis is to get the ego to own its unconscious, meld with the superego, or subdue the superego, and to master the it. Okay, another question about practice?
Yeah, uh, not about the practice, but I have one more question from the
By the way,
flower
that's good.
ornaments.
By the way, that's good. If you have entire stretches of meditation where there's no memories being laid down, that's good. That's a good preliminary practice. Then go to the flower ornament.
Mhm. Got it. I have one last question from the flower ornament. It's again from the introduction,
All right.
so I don't know if you want to
Oh,
go
that's
into
fine.
that,
Let's
but
do it.
this is from page 39.
49,
39.
39.
39, it's line 5. It talks about giving.
The intro, by the way, is harder than the sutra by a long, long shot. So good that you're getting it done. But I would do it afterwards. But okay, let's go. In general. Okay, 39, what?
Line 5, it's talk about giving. Giving involves in giving up.
Giving involves, quote, giving up in the sense of intellectual and emotional relinquishment, such as non attachment to past and future, as well as the act of giving itself and the frame of mind of generosity. All right. Question?
Yeah, so here I can understand the act of giving itself and the frame of mind of generosity, but non-attachment to past and future.
Yeah.
That I'm not.
Okay. First of all, there is no past or future. There's only your ideas of past and future. Okay. Well, let's establish that. Give me one thimbleful of the past. Point me where I would look to find the past.
I mean, it's in the memory, not.
Is it in the memory in the past, or is it in the present?
So memory that when I
What's
access
in the
that
memory
memory
is not the
now.
past. What's in the memory is a selection of the past and a particular point of view,
Yeah.
and it's very unreliable. As I know from being a forensic expert in court, eyewitnesses are hideously unreliable. Plus, people can implant memories of the past. And this is one of the dangers of psychotherapy. Psychotherapists will implant people with false memories of childhood. If this is well documented and a real problem. So what you're calling memory is not really memory. It exists in the present, and it's some kind of, you can't tell me where it is. I mean, you could, if you were going to get smart on me, you'd say, it's right here in the hippocampus, right here in the middle, in the thalamus. Let's see. Right in here between the lobes of the thalamus, right down in there, the hippocampus. Now, they call it hippocampus because it's shaped like a horseshoe. You can look it up. But that's just a clever trick. Where does the past exist? You say it exists in memory. No, there's some imprints that appear to be from the past, and that's one way of looking at it. But in terms of putting our hands on the past or the future, you can't do it.
I mean, the past is gone, of course. I can only relive it in the memory, from the memory.
You can't relive it. What you relive is a memory, which is your own creation, by the way. Have you ever gotten together with friends from, better yet, friends from high school, from grade school, or you're a sibling, and you talk about things that happened in your childhood? Have you ever tried that?
Yeah.
Was there 100% concordance?
I mean, the interpretation of that was different.
Right, and so so that's what memory is. It's an interpretation of what happened. But it only exists in the present. So why would you be attached to that? What's the purpose of being attached to memory? What's the functionality?
So that I understand.
Okay. All right. Now, what's the purpose of being emotionally attached to the future?
That also, I understand I don't need to be attached, but there's an impulse, like I automatically get attached.
Correct. And if you want to wake up, that's an impulse that has to be mitigated, has to be softened, has to be weakened. Because you don't have any control of the future anyway. And the older you get, the more you know that. Mm-hmm. And so the idea, part of what this is just accelerating growth, accelerating maturation, accelerating comprehensive thinking. And there's no yield in it. Now, obviously, I'm not stupid, and I hope nobody listening is that way either, because of course there's certain things that you need the past and the future for, right? If you're gonna plan a rocket to Mars, you need to anticipate certain things. That's not what we're talking about. And what does it say? It says non-attachment to the past and the future. That means be in the present moment. Isn't that all that Eckhart Tolle says? I mean, isn't that the whole Eckhart Tolle shtick, pretty much? Be here now.
Okay, so that's what that was referring to, just that being
If
in the
you're
present
here,
moment.
if you're here now, the past and the present fade into insignificant obscurity. Mm-hmm. Okay, sir?
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much the questions I had.
We have a little time. Any other practice questions? Because practice is what
Uh,
matters. I mean, the sutras and the books just accelerate understanding, right?
mhm,
Practice
mhm.
questions.
So then, so what else is there to do other than reading books, doing meditations, and generally being aware when I'm doing about going about in the life? What else I can do as part of practice to
Okay, just a second. You dropped out of the speaker again. That's interesting. I wonder if you'll come back. Say something.
hey 1 2 3 1 2 4.
All right, let me give me one moment. Something wonky is going on right now. It just dropped the connection.
Battery 100%. Connected to David's iPad.
All right, now speak. Oh, there's.
1 2 4.
Okay, got it. You're good. All right. So now, what's
Cool.
what's the
Yes.
question? What's the question?
Yeah, the question was, so as part of practice, what else I can do other than
Just a second.
reading books,
Just a second.
doing meditation?
Now it's blaring. Okay. Now try.
Uh, 4.
Go ahead. We'll make it. Just be patient, folks. Okay. Go ahead. What's the question?
Yeah, so what else in, other than reading books, doing meditations, and generally being aware when I'm going about the day, and contemplation of what I read or what I observe,
Okay.
to
Okay.
speed
Okay.
things
Okay.
up.
Okay. 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 Uh, First of all, it's not just reading books. It's reading the books that have been prescribed to you in the order in which they've been prescribed. So it's not just reading randomly.
Mhm.
With regard to meditation, the meditation at this stage is just to calm your mind down enough to where you can contemplate or you can read the books, the sutras, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
With regard to generally being aware, what does that even mean, generally being aware?
So
Something
for
very,
me, that means
something very strange is happening. Go ahead.
so just like being in that observant mind kind of state where I'm observing but also doing things, and the mind is kind of quiet. Observant. I think we talked about that some time ago.
But what are you observing?
Uh, the outside objects and the
Okay,
inside.
good. So
Uh,
this is what. Okay, good. I'm glad you asked the question. And then what was your third one? Is What was the last one? You said contemplation or something?
yeah, contemplation
Okay,
of
all
what
right.
I read.
You're looking in the wrong direction. I'm glad we clarified that. Don't look outward. Only look inward. The whole
Okay.
subject is your mind. Now, this is a somewhat advanced teaching, but the whole subject is your mind. Everything that happens in your mind. It doesn't happen out there. So maybe you see something out there. It doesn't matter what's out there. What matters is what's going on in here. Is a big distinction, but I think you may be ready for that now. Something's gone wrong with the speaker. I don't know. So does that make sense? First of all,
Yeah, that makes. And when I'm focusing on the or observing the inside, I usually
I'm going to turn.
observe, focus on.
I'm going to give up on that. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and when I'm observing the inside, I'm usually observing feeling, sensation, thoughts.
Is that all you're observing?
Feeling, sensation, thoughts. When I'm going about doing other things, then yeah, that's pretty much what I am observing: feeling, sensation, thoughts.
Memories, perceptions. your manager,
Memories,
your boss looking at you in the face.
but that's an outside thing, right? That's why what I observe
No, no,
outside.
I'm not denying that there's objects in the outside, in the what you call the outside world.
Hmm.
But what you're watching is what's going on inside. So what did you say? Feeling, thoughts?
Feelings, sensations, my reactions to things.
Okay, so aversion and attraction.
Hmm.
Which one is it for any given thing? And desire. Okay? And then you're looking for moments where, natural moments where the clouds kind of dissipate and you just have the awareness without the thoughts of I. And you do that all day. And you can also do mala practice. And you can dedicate whatever exercise you do, as long as it's real exercise and not just self-indulgence, you know, just walking around and saying I'm exercising because I'm walking around. But if you're doing real exercise like prostrations or, you know, weights or treadmill or something like that, then you dedicate that as well. So there's mala practice, there's dedication of intent with whatever you do with your body, whether you're washing your hair, you know, brushing your teeth, it doesn't matter. Everything becomes Dharma practice. And you contemplate, who is this I that I keep thinking about? What is it, you know? What is it? What is this self that seems to be with me wherever I go? And so it's not so much the details, although you in your case, I think reading the Avatamsaka should be very helpful. But it's not an intellectual thing, it's more of a second attention thing. That's very important. Because if you start getting concrete on this kind of sutra, which is for the second attention, mostly, it'll just take much longer. And then, and then, since you asked, before you go to bed, you review the day and how much practice you actually did. And you decide what could be improved or what could be done better or more of or less of. And then before you fall asleep, you set the intent to dream lucidly. Why not? And then when you wake up in the morning, you notice, well, what state am I in? Am I eager to get up? Am I happy to get up? Is the day beautiful or not? And then you contemplate that. This kind of serious practice is serious practice. And it imbues all of your life as it should. And then you find yourself living in another world, the flower bank world, a world of extraordinary beauty and peace, with a lot more understanding and love, truth, beauty. These things start becoming constant features of your life. Because remember, the world that we see it depends on the filter with which we look at it. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay. Anything else before we stop?
No, that was it.
Vaya con Dios. Take good care.
Cool. Thank you. Bye.